Captain Jake Morrison walked across the bridge of the USS Leviathan with steady steps. The massive ship was the pride of Earth's space fleet. It stretched over 2 kilometers long and carried weapons that could destroy entire moons. Jake had worked for 15 years to earn the right to command this incredible warship. The bridge was huge and filled with the soft glow of computer screens. Officers sat at their stations watching displays that showed everything happening around the ship. The Leviathan was exploring the far edges of known space, looking for new worlds and resources for humanity. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Hayes sat at the sensor station. Her job was to watch for anything unusual in the empty space around them. She had been doing this work for 8 years and knew how to read even the smallest changes in her instruments. "Captain, I'm seeing something strange," Lisa called out. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear the tension underneath. "There are energy readings at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. 7 unknown objects holding a perfect formation." Jake moved quickly to the main tactical display where his first officer, Commander Ryan Blake, was already studying the data. Ryan had been Jake's friend since their academy days and had never let him down in a crisis. "What do you think, Ryan?" Jake asked, looking at the strange readings on the screen. Ryan shook his head slowly. "Sir, these aren't like any human ships I've ever seen. The energy patterns are completely different from our technology. Whatever these things are, they're using power systems we don't understand." Dr. Amy Chen, the ship's chief science officer, looked up from her workstation. Her face had gone pale as she studied her readings. Amy was one of the smartest people Jake had ever met, and seeing her worried made his stomach tighten. "Captain," Amy said quietly, "I'm detecting life signs aboard those vessels. We're looking at alien ships." The bridge became completely silent. Every person there understood what this meant. For hundreds of years, humans had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it was coming toward them in 7 unknown ships. Jake felt his heart racing but kept his voice steady. As captain, he had to stay calm even when everything inside him wanted to panic. "Red alert. All crew to battle stations. Lisa, try to contact them on every frequency we have." Warning lights began flashing red throughout the bridge. The sound of boots running filled the corridors as 800 crew members hurried to their emergency positions. The Leviathan's weapon systems powered up automatically, charging the antimatter cannons that could punch holes through small planets. "Captain," Lisa said, "I'm sending out greeting messages in mathematics and basic physics. If they're intelligent, they should understand that we're trying to communicate." Jake watched the tactical display as the 7 alien ships continued their approach. They moved in a formation that looked almost like a work of art. Each ship was in the exact right position to support the others. It showed planning and discipline that impressed him even while it worried him. "Sir, the alien ships are slowing down," Ryan reported. "They're stopping just outside the asteroid belt. It looks like they want to observe us from a safe distance." Dr. Chen was working frantically at her station, trying to learn everything she could about the visitors. "Captain, their ships are using some kind of energy field for propulsion. No chemical rockets or fusion drives that I can detect. The technology is at least 50 years ahead of anything we have." Jake studied the alien vessels through the main screen. They looked organic, like they had been grown rather than built. Their hulls curved in smooth lines that reminded him of deep-sea creatures. There were no visible weapons, but that didn't make him feel safer. "Any response to our messages?" Jake asked. Lisa shook her head. "Nothing yet, sir, but I'm detecting scanning beams coming from their ships. They're studying us just like we're studying them." Chief Engineer Pete Williams called from the engine room. "Captain, all systems are running perfectly. If we need to fight or run, the Leviathan is ready." Jake nodded, though Pete couldn't see him. The Leviathan had been built for this exact situation. Earth's leaders knew that first contact with aliens might not be peaceful. They had designed the ship to be powerful enough to defend itself against unknown threats. "Contact Earth Command," Jake ordered. "Send them everything we're seeing. If this goes badly, they need to know what happened here." Communications Officer Brad Torres worked quickly to prepare the message burst. "Sir, it will take 6 hours for our signal to reach Earth. We're on our own until then." Jake understood the weight of that statement. Whatever happened in the next few hours could determine the future of the human race. If these aliens were peaceful, this could be the greatest day in human history. If they were hostile, the Leviathan might be humanity's only hope. "Captain," Amy called out, "I'm detecting more energy signatures. 3 more groups of ships are approaching from different directions. We're looking at least 20 alien vessels now." Jake's blood turned cold. 20 ships against one, no matter how powerful the Leviathan was, did not sound like good odds. But he had sworn an oath to protect humanity, and he would not back down from that promise. "All stations stay alert," Jake announced to the bridge crew. "We don't know what they want, but we're going to be ready for anything." The crew worked with quiet efficiency, preparing for whatever was coming. Jake stood in the center of the bridge, watching the alien ships and thinking about the 800 souls under his command. They were ordinary people from Earth who had signed up to explore the stars. None of them had expected to be the first humans to meet an alien civilization. "Sir," Lisa said suddenly, "I'm receiving a transmission from the lead alien ship. It's coming through in mathematical sequences." Jake felt his mouth go dry, put it through the translation computer. Let's see what they have to say. The next few minutes would change everything. Jake Morrison, a farm boy from Kansas who had dreamed of flying among the stars, was about to become the first human to speak with beings from another world. The weight of history pressed down on his shoulders as he waited to hear what the aliens wanted from humanity. Supreme Commander Zektar stood in the control center of his flagship, studying the massive human vessel with growing concern. His four eyes moved independently as he examined different parts of the tactical display. As a member of the Krillian species, Zektar had lived for over 300 years and commanded fleets for the Galactic Council for most of that time. The 7 ships under his command represented the combined military power of 3 major council species. Each vessel carried advanced weapons and shields that had been perfected over thousands of years. They had come to this remote system to investigate reports of a new species that had developed space travel. "Commander," said his tactical officer, a tall being made of living crystal from the Veltar Consortium. "Our scans of the human ship are very troubling. The power readings are unlike anything in our database." Zektar moved closer to the scanning station. The readings showed energy levels that should have been impossible for a newly discovered species. Most races took centuries to develop basic fusion power. The humans seem to have jumped far ahead of that normal progression. "How big is their ship?" Zektar asked. "Over 2 kilometers long, sir. It carries enough firepower to destroy our entire fleet. The weapons appear to use antimatter in ways we have never seen before." Zektar felt his skin change color, a sign of stress in his species. In 300 years of council expansion, they had contacted over 40 different alien races. Every single one had followed the same pattern. They developed simple rockets, then fusion drives, then basic energy weapons. It took them hundreds of years to build ships that could threaten council vessels. The humans had done it all in less than 2 centuries since their first atomic bomb. "Sir," called his science advisor, a floating creature that looked like a jellyfish with glowing tentacles. "Their weapon systems are charging. The energy buildup suggests they could crack our shields with one shot." Zektar studied the human ship more carefully. It was ugly by council standards, built like a flying fortress rather than the elegant vessels his people preferred. But there was something frightening about its crude power. It looked like it had been designed for one purpose: to destroy anything that threatened it. "What do we know about human psychology?" Zektar asked. His cultural specialist, a small furry being from the academic collective, consulted her data files. "Very little, Commander. Our long-range observations show they are a young species with a history of constant warfare. They seem to develop weapons much faster than most races." "That explains the ship," Zektar muttered. "They build like they expect to fight for their lives." The Council had established clear procedures for first contact with new species. They would approach peacefully, demonstrate their superior technology, and offer membership in the galactic community. Most species were grateful for the protection and knowledge the Council provided. Looking at the human warship, Zektar doubted this contact would follow the normal pattern. "Commander," his communications officer reported, "we are receiving mathematical sequences from the human vessel. They appear to be attempting communication. Any hostile intent in their messages?" "No, sir, they seem to be trying to establish peaceful contact. But their weapons remain charged and ready." Zektar considered his options. Council law required him to offer the humans membership and protection. But the same law also required him to ensure the safety of existing council members. A species with this level of destructive power could threaten the entire galactic order. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, 3 more council fleets are approaching. Fleet Admiral Korvax wants to speak with you immediately." The main screen shifted to show Fleet Admiral Korvax, the highest military commander in the council. The ancient being had led council forces for over 1,000 years and had never encountered a situation he could not handle. "Zektar," Korvax said without preamble, "what is the status of the human contact?" "Admiral, we are facing an unprecedented situation. The humans have developed weapons technology that exceeds our own, despite being a newly spacefaring species." Korvax was quiet for a long moment. "Are you certain of these readings?" "Yes, sir. Their single ship could destroy our entire fleet. We estimate they have enough firepower to level a planet. Have they shown hostile intent?" "No, sir, but they refuse to power down their weapons. They maintain a defensive posture but seem willing to communicate." Korvax studied the tactical data streaming from Zektar's ship. "This changes everything, Commander. If humans can build one ship like this, they can build hundreds. We may be looking at the first species capable of challenging Council authority." Zektar felt a chill run through his body. The Galactic Council had maintained peace for 10,000 years by being the strongest force in known space. No single species had ever possessed enough power to threaten that balance. "What are your orders, Admiral?" "Maintain your distance and try to establish communication. Do not take any action that could be seen as hostile. I am convening an emergency session of the High Council." The screen went dark, leaving Zektar alone with his thoughts. He had joined the Council fleet to explore the galaxy and bring peace to new worlds. He had never expected to encounter a species that might be more advanced than his own. "Commander," his science advisor called out, "the humans are sending more complex mathematical sequences. They appear to be trying to establish a translation protocol. Respond with basic Council greeting formulas," Zektar ordered, "but do not reveal our language structure yet." As his crew worked to establish communication with the humans, Zektar studied their massive ship. Everything about it suggested a species that had learned to build powerful weapons because they had needed them to survive. That made them either the most dangerous species in the galaxy or potentially the most valuable allies. "Sir," his cultural specialist reported, "initial analysis of human transmissions suggests they are cautious but not aggressive. They seem to be trying to avoid conflict while maintaining their defensive capabilities." "That matches what I would expect from a species that survived by being ready to fight," Zektar replied. "The question is whether they can be trusted with the kind of power they possess. The next few hours would determine not just the fate of first contact with humanity, but possibly the future of the entire Galactic Council." Zektar had the uncomfortable feeling that his decisions might reshape galactic civilization forever. The tension on the bridge of the USS Leviathan had been building for 2 hours. Captain Jake Morrison watched the tactical display as more alien ships continued to arrive in the system. What had started as 7 vessels was now approaching 30, all maintaining a careful distance from the human battleship. "Captain," Commander Ryan Blake reported from his station, "the alien fleet is moving into what appears to be a surrounding formation. They're keeping their distance but positioning themselves to cut off our escape routes." Jake studied the formation with growing concern. The aliens were clearly experienced military commanders. Their positioning was textbook perfect for either containing a threat or preparing for an attack. The question was which one they intended. "Sir," Communications Officer Brad Torres called out, "we're receiving a transmission from what appears to be their command ship. The translation computer has been working on their language patterns." "Put it through," Jake ordered. The bridge speakers crackled with static before a mechanical voice filled the air. The computer was doing its best to translate an alien language into something humans could understand. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Galactic Council protected space. Submit to inspection and prepare for integration protocols." Jake felt his jaw tighten. The tone was unmistakably condescending, like an adult talking to a child who had wandered into a restricted area. He exchanged glances with Ryan, who looked equally irritated by the alien's attitude. Dr. Amy Chen looked up from her science station. "Captain, their tone suggests they view us as a primitive species that needs their guidance. That's not uncommon in first contact scenarios, but it could complicate negotiations." "Open a channel," Jake commanded. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Space Force vessel USS Leviathan. We are on a peaceful exploration mission in international space. We do not recognize any authority over human vessels." Several long minutes passed before the alien response came back through the translator. "Your vessel's capabilities have been noted. However, Council law requires all new species to submit to evaluation and guidance. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded for inspection. Jake felt his temper rising. The aliens were treating humanity like children who needed supervision. They had surrounded his ship with overwhelming force and were demanding he surrender without even attempting real diplomacy. Ryan, what's the tactical situation? Jake asked quietly. 31 alien vessels in various formations around us. Their technology appears advanced, but we still have superior firepower. If it comes to a fight, we can take most of them with us. Jake nodded grimly. The Leviathan had been designed to face unknown threats in deep space. It could probably destroy half the alien fleet before they could respond. But that would mean war between humanity and this Galactic Council. Captain, Lieutenant Commander Lisa Hayes called from sensors. I'm detecting more ships approaching from the outer system. We're looking at possibly 50 alien vessels within the next hour. The aliens were clearly taking this contact very seriously. Jake realized they probably saw the Leviathan as either a threat to be contained or a prize to be captured. Either way, they weren't treating humanity as equals. Sir, Brad Torres reported, they're demanding an immediate response to their boarding request. Jake made his decision. Humanity had not spent 2 centuries building the most powerful warship in human history, just to surrender it to the first aliens they met. Open a channel, Jake ordered. Galactic Council vessels, this is Captain Morrison. We reject your demand to board our ship. The USS Leviathan operates under Earth authority and will defend itself if threatened. The response came back quickly, and this time the translator captured what sounded like anger in the alien voice. Captain Morrison, your species lacks the experience to operate safely in galactic space. Submit to Council authority or face the consequences. Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. These were good people who had signed up to explore the stars and represent humanity among the cosmos. They deserved better than to be treated like children by alien bureaucrats. Lisa, scan the asteroid field. Find me the biggest rock out there, sir. Lisa looked confused but quickly complied. There's a massive asteroid about 5 kilometers across, roughly 2,000 kilometers off our starboard bow. Perfect. Jake turned to his weapons officer, Lieutenant Commander Dan Torres, Brad's younger brother who had earned his position through skill rather than family connections. Dan, target that asteroid with 1 antimatter torpedo. Dan's eyes widened. Sir, 1 torpedo will completely destroy an asteroid that size. That's the point. I want our new friends to understand exactly what they're dealing with. Jake opened the communication channel again. Galactic Council Fleet, we are about to demonstrate why the USS Leviathan does not submit to boarding by hostile forces. Please observe. On the main screen, the massive asteroid appeared as a gray, irregular shape spinning slowly in the void. It was ancient rock that had probably been drifting through space since the system formed billions of years ago. Dan, fire when ready. The Leviathan's main antimatter torpedo launcher discharged with a brilliant flash of blue light. The torpedo streaked across space at nearly the speed of light, leaving a glowing trail behind it. When it struck the asteroid, there was no explosion in the traditional sense. The 5-kilometer asteroid simply ceased to exist. Matter and antimatter annihilated each other completely, releasing energy equivalent to 100 nuclear bombs. The rock that had existed for billions of years became expanding plasma and debris in less than a second. The bridge crew watched in awed silence as the asteroid field rearranged itself to fill the empty space where the massive rock had been. Even though they had seen antimatter weapons tested before, the complete destruction of something so large was still impressive. Holy hell, Ryan whispered. I knew our weapons were powerful, but seeing it like that really drives the point home. Jake nodded grimly. The demonstration had served 2 purposes. It showed the aliens that the Leviathan possessed devastating firepower, but it also reminded his own crew of the responsibility they carried. These weapons could destroy entire worlds if misused. Sir, Brad Torres reported with excitement in his voice, we're receiving multiple transmissions from the alien fleet. The translation computer is having trouble keeping up, but I'm hearing words like impossible and catastrophic power levels repeated across several channels. Dr. Amy Chen was studying her instruments with fascination. Captain, their ships are backing away from us. Energy readings suggest they're charging their own weapons, but they're also increasing their distance. Jake could understand their reaction. The aliens had probably never seen a single ship capable of such destruction. Most species developed weapons gradually over centuries. Humanity had jumped straight to planet-killing technology because they had needed it to ensure their survival. "Open a channel to their command ship," Jake ordered. "Galactic Council Commander, the USS Leviathan is prepared to discuss peaceful relations between our species. However, any attempt to board our vessel or restrict our movement will be considered an act of war." This time, the alien response took much longer to arrive. When it came, the tone had changed completely. The condescending attitude was gone, replaced by something that sounded like nervous respect. "Captain Morrison, the Galactic Council requests immediate consultation with our High Command. Please maintain your current position while we establish proper diplomatic protocols." Jake smiled for the first time since the aliens had arrived. Sometimes the only way to get respect was to demonstrate that you deserved it. The Leviathan had just announced humanity's arrival on the galactic stage, and the message was clear. Earth would not be treated as a junior partner in the cosmic community. The Great Council Chamber on Nexus Prime had never hosted such an urgent emergency session. The massive circular building could hold representatives from over 100 different species, and today it was completely full. Beings of every imaginable shape and size filled the floating platforms that surrounded the central speaking area. High Counselor Viridian floated at the center of the chamber, his ancient form glowing with soft blue light. As one of the founding members of the Galactic Council, he had lived for over 5,000 years and had personally overseen the peaceful integration of dozens of new species into galactic civilization. Today, for the first time in his long life, he was genuinely afraid. "Fellow counselors," Viridian announced, his mental voice reaching every being in the chamber through psychic translation, "we face a crisis that threatens the very foundation of our galactic order." The chamber fell silent as holographic displays activated around the room. Every representative could see the footage that Fleet Admiral Korvax had transmitted from the human contact zone. The complete destruction of the massive asteroid played over and over, each viewing sending ripples of shock through the assembled delegates. Counselor Thys of the reptilian hegemony rose on her powerful legs, her scales shifting to dark red in a display of agitation. "High Counselor, the energy readings from this single human vessel exceed the combined firepower of 3 Council battle fleets. How is this possible?" Viridian had been asking himself the same question since receiving Korvax's report. "Our best scientists believe the humans have mastered large-scale antimatter manipulation. Such technology should take a species at least 1,000 years to develop safely." The chamber erupted in concerned chatter as representatives discussed the implications among themselves. Counselor Flux of the Gaseous Collective formed words from compressed atmosphere, his voice echoing strangely through the translation system. "High Counselor, every species we have contacted has followed the same technological progression. Stone tools to metalworking to simple chemistry, to nuclear fission to fusion power to basic antimatter research. This process takes time because each step teaches restraint and wisdom along with knowledge. The humans appear to have compressed this entire progression into less than 300 years," added Counselor Vex of the Silicon-based collective, his crystalline body ringing like a bell as he spoke. "They have developed weapons of mass destruction without developing the cultural wisdom to use them responsibly." Viridian studied the tactical displays showing the current standoff in the Kepler 400 Portu system. 53 council ships now surrounded the single human vessel, but the balance of power was unclear. The humans had demonstrated they could destroy ships much larger than asteroids, but they had not yet shown hostility toward living beings. "What concerns me most," Viridian continued, "is not just their technological capabilities, but their apparent willingness to use them. Most species develop weapons gradually, learning through smaller conflicts how devastating war can be. The humans seem to have jumped directly to planet-killing technology without that learning process." Counselor Zara of the Aquatic Federation spoke from her water-filled chamber, her tentacles creating patterns that the translation system converted to words. "Our psychological profiles suggest humans are not inherently aggressive, but they are highly defensive. Their entire history shows a species that develops powerful weapons because they expect to need them." "That may be even more dangerous than natural aggression," replied Counselor Thane of the Avian Republics, his feathered wings rustling with anxiety. "An aggressive species can be negotiated with or contained. A defensive species with overwhelming firepower might attack at the first sign of threat." The debate continued for hours as representatives struggled to understand what humanity represented. Some argued for immediate military action to contain the threat. Others insisted on attempting peaceful integration as they had with every other species. The question before us, Viridian finally announced, is whether we classify humanity as a Category 5 threat, requiring immediate containment, or attempt normal diplomatic integration. The chamber went completely silent. A Category 5 classification had only been used twice in Council history. The first time had resulted in the complete isolation of the Void Touched, a species whose technology threatened reality itself. The second had led to the extinction of the Hive Collective, which had refused all attempts at peaceful coexistence. If we classify them as Category 5, Councillor Theiss said slowly, we are essentially declaring war on a species that has demonstrated the ability to destroy our fleets. If we do not, Councillor Flux countered, we risk allowing a potentially unstable species to spread throughout the galaxy with weapons that could destroy entire civilizations. Admiral Korvax materialized as a hologram in the center of the chamber. His ancient form showed the strain of the current crisis. Councillors, I must report that the human captain has rejected all attempts at standard integration protocols. They refuse to submit to inspection or accept council authority over their vessel. Have they shown any willingness to negotiate? Viridian asked. They claim to want peaceful relations, but only as equals. They do not accept our role as guardians and guides for younger species. This statement caused another wave of concerned discussion throughout the chamber. Every species that had joined the council had initially accepted a subordinate role while they learned galactic customs and technologies. The humans seemed to be demanding immediate equal status. High Councillor, Councillor Vex spoke carefully. Perhaps we are approaching this incorrectly. What if the humans are not a typical developing species? Their rapid technological advancement suggests they may be capable of contributing to the council rather than simply benefiting from it. You are suggesting we treat them as equals from the beginning? Viridian asked. I am suggesting we consider that they may already be our equals, at least in terms of technological capability. Their weapons technology exceeds our own. Perhaps their other sciences do as well. The chamber erupted in debate as representatives argued over this radical suggestion. The Galactic Council had always been the most advanced civilization in their region of space. The idea that a newly contacted species might already match or exceed their capabilities was disturbing to many of the older members. Councillors, Admiral Korvax interrupted, I must inform you that 3 more human vessels have been detected approaching the contact zone. If their technology is consistent, we may soon be facing 4 ships with the combined firepower to destroy entire planets. The news sent a chill through the chamber. 4 human ships could potentially devastate the Council's core worlds before they could mount an effective defense. High Councillor, Councillor Theiss said grimly, we must make a decision. Do we attempt to contain humanity now while we still have numerical superiority? Or do we risk allowing them to spread throughout the galaxy? Viridian considered the options carefully. Both paths carried enormous risks. Military action against humanity could result in a war that would devastate both sides, but allowing them to expand unchecked could eventually threaten every world in Council space. I propose a third option, Viridian announced. We will attempt diplomatic contact under a new protocol. Instead of offering humanity membership in the Council as a junior species, we will offer them a formal alliance between equals. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Such an offer had never been made to a newly contacted species. It would acknowledge that humanity possessed power equivalent to the entire Galactic Council. If they accept, Viridian continued, we gain a powerful ally whose technology could benefit all Council species. If they reject our offer, we will know that peaceful coexistence is impossible. And if they reject it, Councillor Flux asked, then we will be forced to consider more drastic measures, Viridian replied grimly. But let us hope it does not come to that. The galaxy is large enough for both humanity and the Council, if we can find a way to coexist. The vote was closer than any in Council history, but Viridian's proposal passed by a narrow margin. Humanity would be offered something no other species had ever received: immediate recognition as an equal partner in galactic civilization. The question now was whether humans would accept such an offer, or if their defensive nature would make them see it as another attempt to control them. The situation in the Kepler 442 system had reached a critical point. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Leviathan, surrounded by the largest alien fleet anyone had ever seen. 67 council ships now filled the space around his vessel, creating a sphere of advanced technology that could probably glass an entire planet. But Jake wasn't intimidated. The Leviathan had been built for exactly this kind of situation, and his crew had trained for years to face unknown threats in deep space. If the aliens wanted a fight, humanity would give them one they would never forget. Captain, Communications Officer Brad Torres reported, "We're receiving a priority transmission from the alien flagship. This one is different from the others. The signal is much more complex. Put it through," Jake ordered, curious about what the aliens might say after hours of tense standoff. The main screen flickered and filled with an image that made several bridge officers step backward in surprise. The being that appeared was unlike anything they had seen before. It looked ancient and wise, with a form that seemed to be made of pure energy, contained in a vaguely humanoid shape. "Captain Morrison," the being said, its voice somehow translating perfectly into English.
"I am High Counselor Viridian of the Galactic Council.
"I have come personally to speak with you about the future of our two civilizations." Jake felt a surge of respect despite himself. This was clearly a leader of immense importance who had traveled across space to handle this crisis personally. That suggested the aliens were taking humanity very seriously indeed. "High Counselor," Jake replied formally, "I am honored to speak with you. I hope we can find a peaceful solution to this situation." "As do I, Captain. Your species has presented us with challenges we have never encountered before. In 10,000 years of galactic expansion, we have never met a newly contacted species with technology that matches our own." Dr. Amy Chen looked up from her science station with surprise. The aliens were actually admitting that human technology was equal to theirs. That was very different from their earlier condescending attitude. "Your antimatter weapons represent a level of destructive capability that we had not thought possible for a species so young," Viridian continued. "This has forced us to reconsider our standard first contact protocols." Commander Ryan Blake moved closer to Jake. "Sir, this sounds like they're actually taking us seriously now. The weapons demonstration may have worked better than we hoped." Jake nodded slightly but kept his attention on the alien leader. "High Counselor, humanity has always preferred diplomacy to warfare, but we will defend ourselves if threatened." "I understand, Captain. Your species' history shows a pattern of rapid technological development, driven by the need to survive. This is actually quite remarkable, though it has created some concerns among council members." "What kind of concerns?" Jake asked directly. He had learned long ago that honest communication was usually the best approach to solving problems. "Some of our members fear that a species with such advanced weapons might be a threat to galactic peace. Others worry that your rapid development suggests instability or unpredictability." Jake felt his temper rising slightly. "High Counselor, humanity has never attacked another species. We developed these weapons to defend ourselves against unknown threats, not to conquer other worlds." "That is precisely why I have come here personally," Viridian replied. "Our analysis of your crew's behavior and your own statements suggest that humans are not naturally aggressive. You are highly defensive, which may actually make you ideal partners for maintaining galactic peace." This was not the conversation Jake had expected to have. The alien seemed to be moving towards some kind of partnership rather than demanding submission. "Captain," Viridian continued, "I am authorized to make you an offer that has never been extended to a newly contacted species. The Galactic Council would like to propose a formal alliance between our civilizations as equal partners." The bridge fell completely silent. Even the soft humming of the ship's system seemed to fade as everyone processed what they had just heard. "Equal partners?" Jake asked carefully. "What exactly does that mean?" "It means that humanity would be recognized as a sovereign civilization with the same rights and responsibilities as any council member species. You would have full access to galactic trade routes, scientific databases, and diplomatic protections. In return, we would ask for your cooperation in maintaining peace and order in this region of space." Dr. Chen was frantically taking notes on her data pad. This kind of offer could revolutionize human civilization overnight. Access to alien technology and knowledge could advance humanity by centuries in just a few years. "High Counselor," Jake said slowly, "this is far beyond anything I have authority to negotiate. I would need to consult with Earth's government before making any commitments. Of course, Captain. We understand that such momentous decisions require careful consideration. However, I should mention that 3 more of your vessels are approaching this system. We would prefer to resolve our relationship before additional military assets arrive. Jake smiled slightly. The aliens had detected the incoming human ships and were clearly concerned about facing even more advanced weapons. The USS Leviathan had 3 sister ships that were just as powerful, and the aliens knew it. High Counselor, those ships are responding to our first contact protocols. They're here to provide support, not to start a war. We understand, Captain, but their arrival does add urgency to our negotiations. A misunderstanding between our fleets could have catastrophic consequences for both sides. Jake considered the situation carefully. The alien offer sounded genuine, but he had responsibility for 800 crew members and potentially the future of humanity. Any decision he made would affect billions of people back on Earth. Sir, Ryan whispered, this could be the greatest opportunity in human history. An alliance with a galactic civilization could solve most of our resource and expansion problems. Or it could be a trap. Jake replied quietly, we need to be very careful here. Captain Morrison, Viridian said, I understand your caution. Perhaps we could arrange a smaller meeting to discuss details? I would be willing to come aboard your vessel with a small diplomatic party. The offer surprised Jake. The alien leader was willing to put himself at risk by boarding a human ship. That suggested either incredible confidence or genuine desire for peace. High Counselor, I would be honored to host such a meeting. However, I must warn you that this ship operates under human protocols. We will treat you with full diplomatic courtesy, but we will not lower our defenses. I would expect nothing less, Captain. A species that has survived by being prepared for threats would naturally maintain appropriate security measures. As Jake prepared to host the first diplomatic meeting between humanity and an alien civilization, he reflected on how much had changed in just a few hours. The USS Leviathan had entered this system as an exploration vessel. It was about to become the site of negotiations that could reshape the entire galaxy. Brad, contact Earth Command, Jake ordered. Tell them we're about to make history. And Ryan, prepare the main conference room for the most important meeting in human history. The crew moved with quiet efficiency as they prepared for their alien guests. Nobody spoke about it, but everyone understood that the next few hours would determine whether humanity joined the galactic community as a respected partner or remained isolated in their small corner of space. Jake Morrison, a farm boy from Kansas who had dreamed of exploring the stars, was about to negotiate humanity's place among the civilizations of the galaxy. The weight of 8 billion souls rested on his shoulders, but he was ready for the challenge. After all, humanity had not come this far by backing down from the impossible.